I want to talk with parents of children and young adults too, but first let me set up the video first. The blacktop of the driveway is well past its prime. We've hired a cement contractor that we've used before. He does good work and he teaches the trade to young people along the way. To make snow removal easier in the wintertime, we are having an apron added in front of the garage. At the same time, they are addressing the entrance to the front door. The two young people are brother and brother-in-law. Eventually, they want to open up their own cement business, doing things such as what they're doing here. I wish them luck, but stick around. I want to do a talkabout with parents and young adults about preparing for the future. Hello anyone, I'm Scott Bain. They call me the Old Farmer. Here is the message I wish to impart. Currently, we have about 400,000 shortfalls for workers per year. That's per year. This has impacted the skilled trades severely. The trades being plumbers, electricians, carpenters, as the more well-known skilled trades. There are hundreds of jobs available, and the pay is great. Most intern programs have on-the-job training. Get a paycheck and work towards your license. That's a pretty good deal. Let's just talk about plumbers and electricians, and by inclusion, all the other trades. I have the highest respect for these individuals, as much as I do for a farmer, such as my neighbors. It takes time and skill and intelligence to become someone in the skilled trades. To become licensed means going to a trade school or 2-year college, and then apprenticeship of some kind. Each state is different. As you're flipping hamburgers during the day, you go to school at night, and before long, you can start your journey into the skilled trades. Of course, there are many different levels and skill sets needed for the different trades. There are programs that may be free for those who wish to learn a trade. Check with Home Depot and Stanley Black & Decker as starting points. Plus, there are many other programs available. As an example, more lives have been saved by plumbers than for any other group of people, including doctors. The sanitation system made many of the diseases all but disappear, and you thought that he or she was only a plumber. Many of the trades offer entry-level positions too. This is a great way to see if there's a trade for you. If not, try something else. There is nothing wrong with getting college degrees if you're in the trades, but get them as you're working and people will respect your efforts and recognize your value. Whereas, if you go straight to college, most employers will think you're little more than a brainwashed robot that has to be trained on the job. That's true. About all that the typical degree demonstrates is that you're trainable and willing to learn. A degree used to mean advanced knowledge in a subject. Back in the 19th century, a good public school taught at the level of a bachelor's degree without a major. By going to the trades first and then getting your degrees, yes, I said degrees, I recommend working to get your master's in a similar field which will be value added. Forget being an English major. It's almost as worthless as a poli-sci degree. You have proven your worth with your license. The additional education at this point gives you value added to your license and value added to your wallet. All this without going into debt for a worthless college degree. Legitimate areas for degrees is business management and accounting, or some of the physical sciences that relate to your field will be value added to your experiences and pay level. Work hard with your hands while you're young, and when you're ready for management, you will have hands-on experience and no tuition debt to pay off. By the time you retire, you will be well ahead of the college-bound high school graduate, and with fewer ulcers. If you're an adult, teach your children basic home repair skills after you learn them yourself. Give your children the ability to build or repair simple projects as early as 5 years old. If they don't go into the trades, they will be able to understand better the remodeling job of their homes, or do much of it themselves. In our first home, I remodeled the kitchen, bathroom, and breakfast nook. I've reshingled roofs and rebuilt many things on the farm and when first married. There is nothing wrong with management, but go through the skilled trades first, and you will achieve a self-confidence that cannot be achieved anywhere else. And insist that your school system bring back the shop classes and make it mandatory to take at least one class of shop, and yes, of home ec too. Help your children to learn with their hands, including gardening. As the world goes to hell in a handbasket, you will have skills that will feed your family in a collapsed economy. Learn to weld. I did at the age of 12. I have an arc welder that I should fire up and relearn what I was taught in my youth. When things collapse, and they will, you will learn to fix instead of throw away, which is far cheaper and is almost like a pay raise. Pick up an old vehicle that doesn't have computer chips and learn to repair it. I learned to repair my first car at 12 years old. It was a 1947 Chevrolet. I couldn't drive on the roads, but our farm was big enough that I could drive around it. Just a couple years later, I was underneath our combine, keeping it in working order. Just start with the small fixes for any projects first. As you get to know things, you can start doing the more difficult projects. The world is changing. Free global trade is dead, and that means cheap tools from China will be gone as soon as the supplies are sold off. President Biden has continued with President Trump's trade policies, and this means that the United States will no longer be the police of the world, which will kill off global trade. Have you noticed that more and more products for sale are from North America instead of from other countries? The U.S. trade partners will be number 1, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, England, and Canada. For the rest of the world, when dealing with trade, don't let the doorknob hit you on the way out. There is too many changes going on to go into details here, but for the next 5 years, the economy will be unsteady at the very least. Knowing a trade and being licensed in it will give an advantage way over that of a bank teller, and even the president of the bank itself. Also, keep in mind that management and office workers are a dime a dozen, and that includes vice presidents of corporations. So everyone that has kids should expose them to tools, repair, and building. Make sure that hands-on training such as shop class and home ec are back in the school systems. Until they are, it's not a bad idea to think of enrolling your child and you in a welding class or some other programs. My son at 5 years old was enrolled in night school for speaking German. I attended with him. Do you know who was the best student? He was. Everyone else was an adult of at least 30 years old, and he was the best student. I came in the middle of the pack. There were specialty classes that our son was enrolled in outside of school, where he was a student, along with college and adult students. He was always the top of the class. It is critically important that young people have the chance to get their hands-on experience early and often. And as they show a preference, encourage them in that area with extra training. It could even be by a neighbor. New housing will be done in factories and bolted together in the field. What about remodel and repair? A skilled tradesman can easily earn upper middle management salaries in only a couple of years. and if things go bad, might even be able to run a small business out of the garage. In your extended family, if there are youngsters where this may be appropriate, talk with them and see if outside classes might be the answer. I will be giving a link to a video down below to The Honest Carpenter, where he talks about this in a more concise way. As for a good look to the future, I recommend Peter Zeihan. His link is also below. And don't forget to read his books too. Before we go, it's important to quickly mention for all who are visiting to subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, and share with friends and family. Now for the most important part, thank you to those who have subscribed. Thank you. And yes, thank you to those who are visiting. We value you too. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers so that we may receive a pittance from YouTube to cover expenses. We replaced one camera, tripod, and bought a water-cooled editor for video production, plus all the tools we review. So if you could help us reach that 1,000 subscription point, thank you. Well, this is the old farmer Scott Bain. Be well, be safe, and be kind to someone.
Don't forget to click like and click subscribe on the Old Farmer YouTube channel. And thanks again for watching. Bye.
The VFW National Home for Children, providing families of veterans and active duty military opportunities for growth and development in a nurturing community. Please consider a donation to help their children and families. I.C. Rhodes speaking.